Today is April 4th, 2025, and this is Read Through the Bible.
I think about that story about the train going up the hill. I think
Yep.
I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can,
That's
right?
what we're doing with Leviticus.
We're just kind of chugging along. I think I can do this. I think I can do this. I think I can do this. And with our help, if you just kind of stay tuned, sit and listen for whatever, 10 to 15 minutes every day, I
Yeah.
think you can get through Leviticus and you'll be happy.
And
You know,
we're just covering 1 to 2 chapters a day.
yeah, it's really easy. I remember when I preached through Leviticus at church, it was sort of like difficult to get through it. But when we got through Leviticus, so many people were so happy
Yes.
that they had sat and listened through sermons. I did about one chapter a week on Leviticus. And what I did is I just preached the laws are there, and then I showed how Christ was the fulfillment of the shadow of these things. So I think you're going to be happy when you're done with Leviticus. So press on, stay with it, and get on the other side of the mountain where you said, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. Okay,
Right.
So chapter 6 is really a continuation of chapter 5 as we deal with the guilt offerings. And then a change comes in chapter 6, verse 8, which we'll talk about when we get there.
Okay, so chapter 6, verse 1. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, if anyone sins and commits a breach of faith against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in a matter of deposit or security or through robbery, or if he has oppressed his neighbor, or has found something lost and lied about it, swearing falsely in any of the things that people do and sin thereby, if he has sinned and has realized his guilt and will restore what he took by robbery or what he got by oppression or the deposit that was committed to him or the lost thing that he found or anything about which he has sworn falsely.
Yeah, don't sweat the small stuff.
Okay, that was the big if. Okay, then verse 5, midway through. He shall restore it in full and shall add a fifth to it and give it to him to whom it belongs on the day he realizes his guilt. And he shall bring to the priest as his compensation to the Lord a ram without blemish out of the flock or its equivalent for a guilt offering. And the priest shall make atonement for him before the Lord, and he shall be forgiven for any of the things that one may do and thereby become guilty.
Okay. So those are the 5 offerings. You got the burnt offering and the grain offering and the peace and the sin and the guilt offering. Okay, and so now, if you look in the ESV, the heading says the priests and offerings. We're going to go over these 5 offerings again in chapters 6 and 7 that we're going to read today. However, they're going to be slightly different order. And the perspective now is like, okay, so how do the priests deal with the offering?
Right, like what are their responsibilities in this?
Right, chapters 1 through 5, actually a little bit of 6, all this to do with what are the people supposed to do. And now, kind of on the backside, now we see what the priests are supposed to do. And in fact, we're going to be talking about priests here from chapter 6 through chapter 10. And just not only what they're supposed to do with sacrifices, but then even how they're installed in chapters 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, command Aaron and his sons, saying, this is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering shall be on the hearth of the altar all night until the morning, and the fire of the altar shall be kept burning on it. So even you can see there, right? They're talking about how much is burned and where it is. This is what the priest needs to do. And the priest shall put on his linen garment and put his linen undergarment in his body, and he shall take up the ashes to which the fire is reduced, the burnt offering on the altar, and put them beside the altar. And then he shall take off his garments and put on other garments and carry the ashes outside the camp to a clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning on it. It shall not go out. And the priest shall burn wood on it every morning, and he shall arrange the burnt offering on it, and shall burn on it the fat of the peace offerings. Fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually. It shall not go
Boy,
you got a lot of wood to keep this fire going.
Continual fire.
Yep.
Okay, verse 14. And this is the law of the grain offering. The sons of Aaron shall offer it before the Lord in front of the altar. And one shall take from it a handful of fine flour of the grain offering, and its oil, and all the frankincense that is on the grain offering, and burn this as its memorial portion on the altar, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. And the rest of it Aaron and his sons shall eat. It shall be eaten unleavened in a holy place. In the court of the tent of meeting they shall eat it. It shall not be baked with leaven. I have given it as their portion of my food offerings. It is a thing most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Every male among the children of Aaron may eat of it, as decreed forever throughout your generations from the Lord's food offerings. Whatever touches them shall become holy.
There it is, right? We're getting a little bit of the holiness.
Yeah, but
coming
that's
in here.
interesting. Touching something and becoming holy rather than touching something and becoming unclean.
Yeah, but this is one of the ways the priests were fed is by the grain offerings that were brought. They were able to eat some of it.
Right.
And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, This is the offering that Aaron and his son shall offer to the Lord on the day when he is anointed. 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour is a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half of it in the evening. It shall be made with oil on a griddle. You shall bring it well mixed in baked pieces like a grain offering, and offer it for a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The priest from among Aaron's sons, who is anointed to succeed him, shall offer it to the Lord as decreed forever. The whole of it shall be burned. Every grain offering of a priest shall be wholly burned. It shall not be eaten.
The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, This is the law of the sin offering. Okay, so we've had grain offering and now sin offering from the priest's perspective. Okay, so verse 25, continuing. In the place where the burnt offering is killed, shall the sin offering be killed before the Lord. It is most holy. The priest who offers it for sin shall eat it. In a holy place it shall be eaten, in the courts of the tent of meeting. Whoever touches its flesh shall be holy. And when any of its blood is splashed on a garment, you shall wash that on which it was splashed in a holy place. And the earthenware vessel in which it boiled shall be broken. If it is boiled in a bronze vessel, then it shall be scoured and rinsed in water. Every male among the priests may eat of it. It is most holy. But no sin offering shall be eaten from which any blood is brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement in the holy place. It shall be burned up with fire.
Okay, in terms of an outline here, we've got the priest's perspective of the offerings, so the burnt offering, the grain offering, and the sin offering. And again, if you just want to look at 6 and 7 as the priest's instructions for the offering, you'll be totally fine. So, don't sweat the small stuff.
Picture big.
This is the law of the guilt offering. It is most holy. In the place where they kill the burnt offering, they shall kill the guilt offering, and its blood shall be thrown against the sides of the altar, and all its fat shall be burned, the fat tail, and the fat that covers the entrails, the 2 kidneys, with the fat that is on them at the loins, and the long lobe of the liver, that he shall remove. With the kidneys, it's really striking me here that priests, in some regards, are like butchers.
Yes, they are.
And I remember reading Eugene Peterson's biography called Pastor, where he talked about how his father was a butcher. And so it gave him a strong inside perspective about all of these sacrifices and offerings, about what the life of a butcher is like. And so how the kidneys and the long lobe of the liver, you identify all them, and you learn how to cut them up. And so he just had some good insights on that. It's very interesting. Anyway, verse 5. The priest shall burn them on the altar as a food offering to the Lord. It is a guilt offering. Every male among the priests may eat of it. It shall be eaten in a holy place. It is most holy. The guilt offering is just like the sin offering. There is one law for them. The priest who makes atonement with it shall have it. And the priest who offers any man's burnt offering shall have for himself the skin of the burnt offering that he has offered. And every grain offering baked in the oven, and all that's prepared on a pan or a griddle, shall belong to the priest who offers it. And every grain offering mixed with oil or dry shall be shared equally among all the sons of Aaron.
Okay, and this is the law of the sacrifice of peace offerings that one may offer to the Lord. If he offers it for a thanksgiving, then he shall offer with the thanksgiving sacrifice unleavened loaves mixed with oil, unleavened wafers smeared with oil, and loaves of fine flour well mixed with oil. With the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving, he shall bring his offering with loaves of leavened bread. And from it he shall offer 1 loaf from each offering as a gift to the Lord. It shall belong to the priest who throws the blood of the peace offerings. And the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings for thanksgiving shall be eaten on the day of his offering. He shall not leave any of it until the morning. But if the sacrifice of his offering is a vow offering or a free will offering, it shall be eaten on the day that he offers his sacrifice. And on the next day, what remains of it shall be eaten. But what remains of the flesh of the sacrifice on the 3rd day shall be burned up with fire. If any of the flesh of the sacrifice of his peace offerings is eaten on the 3rd day, he who offers it shall not be accepted, neither shall it be credited to him. It is tainted, and he who eats of it shall bear his iniquity.
Okay, so here we're talking about just the priest and leftover. Burnt offering, you burn it all, you can't have anything to eat. But if you're just burning the fat, of some of the offerings, like the peace offering, then there's meat there, and that's going to feed the priest, is what's going to do. And that's kind of what this is talking about. Flesh that touches any unclean thing shall not be eaten. It shall be burned up with fire. All who are clean may eat flesh, but the person who eats of the flesh of the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offering, while an uncleanness is on him, that person shall be cut off from his people. And if anyone touches an unclean thing, whether human uncleanness or an unclean beast or any unclean detestable creature, and then eats some flesh from the sacrifice of the Lord's peace offerings, that person shall be cut off from his people. Just talking about purity.
Yeah.
You need to be pure when you eat.
Yep.
That's a big deal here.
Okay, verse 22. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, You shall eat no fat of ox or sheep or goat, the fat of an animal that dies of itself, and the fat of one that is torn by beasts may be put to other use, but on no account shall you eat it. For every person who eats of the fat of an animal, of which a food offering may be made to the Lord, shall be cut off from his people. Moreover, you shall eat no blood whatever, whether of fowl or of animal, in any of your dwelling places. Whoever eats any blood, that person shall be cut off from his people.
Yes, pretty strong things.
Yeah.
Right? You're very strict because you need to be holy and eat your food in a holy way. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, Whoever offers the sacrifice of his peace offerings to the Lord shall bring his offering to the Lord from the sacrifice of his peace offerings. His own hand shall bring the Lord's food offerings. He shall bring the fat with the breast, that the breast may be waved as a wave offering before the Lord. The priest shall burn the fat on the altar, but the breast shall be for Aaron and his sons. And the right thigh you shall give to the priest as a contribution from the sacrifice of your peace offerings. Whoever among the sons of Aaron offers the blood of the peace offerings and of the fat, that shall have the right thigh for a portion. For the breast that is waved and the thigh that is contributed, I have taken from the people of Israel out of the sacrifices of their peace offerings, and have given them to Aaron the priest and to his sons as a perpetual due from the people of Israel. This is the portion of Aaron and of his sons from the Lord's food offerings from the day they were presented to serve as priests of the Lord. The Lord commanded this to be given to them by the people of Israel from the day that he anointed them. It is a perpetual due throughout their generations. And then we have a summary of all that's been spoken about here.
Okay, verse 37. This is the law of the burnt offering, of the grain offering, of the sin offering, of the guilt offering, of the ordination offering, and of the peace offering, which the Lord commanded Moses on Mount Sinai on the day that he commanded the people of Israel to bring their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai.
Yeah, there you go.
It's nice that there's a summary right there.
A nice summary, yep. And so these, again, are the offerings from a priest perspective. What a priest needs to do and what a priest gets to eat and how he needs to eat. Just all these specific details, right?
Right.
That's how God set up everything. All right. We will see you tomorrow in the Psalms.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.